right, people, let's get to it. It's April 24th, 2023. Have now slightly another losing month. It's not too bad. And I like my strategy. I'm more clearly seeing the problems that I'm facing, and I've been speaking about this a lot, and it's basically addiction to overtrading. Wanting to be in a trade, like putting on a trade, the hope of that, watching the charts as I'm in a trade, the sort of dopamine, cortisol, adrenaline, whatever. And then the euphoria of closing a trade in profit or the relief of closing a trade at a loss. Like it's actually addictive to put on a series of losing trades because you have hope, you have drama, and you have relief. And so my plan to get away from this, it's several. The first is one of them was okay. To get away from overtrading, I would put my computer in a bin and put it in the bed. That hasn't really worked. It's helped a bit. It has helped a bit. I've definitely done better this month. But I ordered a timer lockbox for for a laptop and a phone. So if I want to be done for the day, if I put it in the timer lockbox, it's set in stone. I need to have bolt cutters to get to my computer, which I won't do. And I've had a pretty simple, easy time not checking phone charting or trading on the phone. For whatever reason, that one has been easy. But if I have a problem with it, then I have the phone lockbox coming too. So that's going to help. Another part of it is going back to work. So there's a lot of reasons that I didn't quit my job. I just really reduced my hours from 40 hours to like 25 down to 10. Part of it, a lot of it was to focus on trading. A lot of it was because I could. I wanted to do something else with my life. Part of it was I had a horrible manager who I did not like working with. But a couple things. One, that manager left and he's been replaced by my good friend. So I can work under my good friend who's easygoing. That sounds good. And I the moment I reduced my hours and quit my job is when I started really overtrading more, and is also when things turned around for me. So, and I believe it's necessary to go through loss and to go through market cycles to learn. But when I was working full time and I was investing on the side, I did extremely well. But as soon as I quit my job or reduced my hours and reduced them again to focus on trading, that's when things really went down. Now, I did have an interim in here where I wasn't working outside of trading, and I had 4 really good months in a row. But I think part of the problem is I made so much money, I became euphoric and overconfident and more addicted to the thing. And this year has been pretty terrible as a result of that. But again, it's all education. So I'm going to go back to work because it's going to improve my trading and it's going to make my life more interesting. There's no reason to sit here trading at the chart, staring at the chart. I know I do better trading the daily chart. I know it's easier to trade the daily and the weekly. That is more profitable. And I know that that's how I did it in the past. If the daily closes at 2 p.m., then there's no reason for me to be online until maybe 1 p.m. Like I can warm up by looking at it's 12:40 right now. I waited most of the day. I didn't go to work this morning because I had to drop my car off to get serviced. Otherwise, I would have. And tomorrow I'm planning on it. And yeah, getting back maybe around noon, eating lunch, and then doing my trade for an hour, and then put it in the lockbox, and then going back to work, just make my life a lot more interesting. And part of that is making my job more interesting. I'm gonna bring back volunteer days on the farm. I'm gonna bring back public tours on the farm, things that I do in the afternoon after my trading's over. So yeah, that's part of it. Is like after I quit my job, my life became extremely boring. Like yo, my life's boring. There's fun things about it that are stimulating, like walking the dog in the morning, swimming in the ocean, talking to people on the beach is interesting. Playing basketball is interesting. Playing Magic is interesting. Going to the farm is interesting. But sitting at home, like I'm to way too much time on the phone, way too much time on the computer. It's boring. And if I'm boring and have this temptation of just going and watching the charts or going and putting on a trade, then it's makes it harder. Like I want to save my discipline for not putting on a trade during that 1 hour, right? So how can I do that? Make my life more interesting, go back to work so I'm busier, make more commitments, and then block out that time because trading is important. Managing my money is important, and get some timer locks just to so make it so I can't fuck with my positions outside of that 1 hour. So that's part of my game plan. And then as far as capital, I still have plenty of capital, but it's less than before, and I want to live off of that. And although it doesn't matter, like I could go back to the farm, it would be fine. But I like having the options, especially the money to eat the food that I like, and freedom to surf at times, sleep in. Now, yeah, okay. So trading the day. Oh yeah, yeah, okay. The last thing I was gonna talk about is capital, right? Um, I'm gonna. I started focusing on more this month, but I'm gonna be focusing on. I'm gonna be focusing on challenges a lot more. I find it's less stressful because it's not real money. You pay a fee. If I'm in losing streaks, then blowing up a challenge is a lot less costly than losing a bunch of trades. And the reward is asymmetric. Like getting a funded account um, for the amount of money that's risked, it's really good. It's really hard to do, but if you're able to jump through all the hoops, it's great. So that's sort of my game plan of where we're at. So trading model, trading data, Sunday. Like I was doing good for the start of April, but then yeah, it just has not been good. 410, 417. So Friday, I think I didn't trade. Saturday, I stayed up late, added on breakout idea, which wasn't really good, and then ignored exit signal and took low time frame entry. Yeah, it's just so many, like this week was a disaster. Last week was fine. I actually missed some really good setups last week, but I was at least patient. This week, I just disaster. Like everything's been a loss, and yeah, like seven. I think I have 7 straight losses now, which is not really new to me, but yeah, I really need to fix things. So, I still want to get like chart time. An idea I had from listening to a trading podcast is to look at more different charts. So I think I'm gonna do that, especially because I have an hour until the close. So, um, okay, before we do that, mission statement: make the most possible money from the least amount of daily work. So, let's just say daily time investment, because it's not about working. Okay, like I want to do other work that's interesting to me, like live a life outside of trading. The point of work is to have something to do, really. And if you can set it up in a way that's structured in the way that you want, that's great. But for trading, I don't want to spend all day on it. I want to spend a short period of time, and that's the goal. And I only trade the daily close because that gives me the best odds of winning and takes the least amount of time. I believe that low time frame trading is gambling and addictive. I choose not to participate. Trading the daily chart gives the best odds of success. I think a lot of it's just changing my beliefs where like I think I got fooled and scammed into believing that low time frame trading is a thing. I mean, it is a thing, and there are some people who make money. It's a lot more rare though. Like most hedge funds, professional traders, etc., trade the daily chart, and that is yeah. So just reframing my belief around that's gonna make it easier. I'm not worried I'm gonna like not be able to conquer this because just last night I was sitting with my friends and they were smoking. weed around me, they were drinking alcohol around me. Zero temptation to do anything because my identity about myself, I don't overtrade, I don't smoke, I don't drink, and my beliefs about what they're doing, like that's poison, it's bad for them. Overtrading is poison, I don't poison myself. Um, it took a while to get to that point, and I tried to avoid it for some amount of time, but now I can just be around it. It's not a problem. So that's where I'm trying to get. Now, I'm going to look at a lot of different charts. I'm going to start off just glancing at the Bitcoin and ETH chart, but since we have over an hour till close, there's nothing to do. I don't know how it's going to close exactly. I want to look at the indices and Forex pairs, and I also want to jump through a bunch of stocks. So I'm going to try to figure out how to do that on TradingView. But let's go to the charts now and see if there's opportunity or not. Why am I on the 5-minute? Interesting day where no matter where you had to stop, you're getting stopped out. If for the most part. Okay, I want to see which one happened first. We took the lows. Okay, this to me is probably, possibly like quite a good long, but maybe not. So I want to wait to see what happens. Now, I want to point out though that I think I never even would have been stopped actually. 27,800. I believe this Bitcoin loss that I took, actually I market exited at the exact high. Yeah. Once again, this is a classic thing. Like, this is what happens when I trade the low time frame, but I bought right here. I thought I was trading the daily and I sold right here. Sorry. I wish. I wish. I sold right here and I bought right here. Crazy. Now, what happened is just if I hadn't taken that low time frame entry, then I wouldn't even be in that trade, although it would be slightly in my favor, and I should have waited for this. But for ETH, I took a short off of this day, and I added on right down here, and I got stopped out right at the very peak of that wick, actually, because my stop was, where was my stop? Was right here. Actually, this is where I got stopped, was just on a tiny wick. So that's almost unreal. Actually, I think my stop was right. My stop was actually right here. So that's what happened when I strayed from the daily charts and just kind of added on. There's one problem with the ETH, possible ETH long, and that is that spending any amount of time under this trend line, although it looks like if we close above it, it's probably okay. Yeah, I'm sure I can do well trading, but it's just a matter of um, yeah, I want to just pound through charts right now, make this part of my routine if possible. Okay. Russell. Oh, that's super interesting. Oh, the Russell hasn't done well at all. I didn't even know. It's still near the lows. That's crazy. I had no idea. Um, Dow Jones futures is near the highs. That's interesting. So small caps getting slaughtered, but industrial doing okay. Tech not doing quite as well. Um, Interesting. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Um, Forex. I just want to look at a ton of different charts. Um, DXY, continuing down. It's definitely in a downtrend. Euro USD. Okay, another continuing to climb. Should be only longs on that chart. GBP USD. I'm going to be just fine with my plan. It's going to be okay. GBP AUD USD. Almost certainly long, big longs on my. I'm probably going to start a new challenge. Yeah. Okay. How do we? I want to just go through. Trading view. How to go through stock lists. Trading view. How to go through all NASDAQ stocks, for instance. Okay, maybe I could do this. I want to figure out how to just like go through all of these just by pressing a space bar. This is Apple. Wow, really nice recovery by Apple. It's actually near the highs. Up 30% off the bottoms. Not that far from all-time highs. In theory, I could swing trade stocks as well eventually. Okay, Google Trading View. How to go through all stocks in an index. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to just look at it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into today's video. We are diving short, long, options, all that good stuff, okay? So you can even do it for Forex or crypto in this example. Now, this will change as stocks trade. Valuation, you can look at
stocks. Trading view, how to create a watch list for every stock in an index. Creating a switch to the stock screener. Okay, let's do this. Just want to go through a list. In less time, like just look at a bunch of charts. Okay, new. How do I do a new? I want to add a symbol. Create a new list. NASDAQ 100. Okay. Switch to the stock screener. Okay. And then set markets to either entire world. Set the filter to index NASDAQ 100. Okay, stock screener. NASDAQ. Set markets to either set markets to either entire world, all countries, USA, all types. Okay. How do I select all results? Stocks, all types, all sectors. Stocks, all sectors. Then how do I select all? When was this? 7 months ago. Create a new empty box. Switch to the stock screen. Set marks to either entire world. Set the filter to index NASDAQ 100. Okay, let's try this. And then how do I do select all? Trading view. Create a watch list for NASDAQ 100. Okay. Do I need to go to?
Let's talk about screeners and how.
Okay. Stock screener. Okay, I have the stock screener. Pine editor, strategy tester.
How you can access the different screeners on TradingView. Now this is going to be a very basic video introducing you to the screener tools, and in future videos we will make more complicated explainers with specific screens and scans you can do yourself. So as you can see, if you were just watching the first 25 seconds, you'll notice that if you're on a chart, just like this, if you're looking at a chart, at the bottom left, there is a button to open up your screener tool. All you have to do is click this, and the screener pops up just like that. It's fast and fluid, and you will see all of these columns, and you can sort symbols based on these columns. And there are several.
Man, by the way, I just want to say, like, I literally market exited. This is what they make you do. Right here, I would actually, I'd get be able to get out break even. Yeah. I'm gonna wait because it doesn't really matter for my risk reward, but that's a pin bar on the 12-hour for sure. Most likely a big long on both. Okay, screener.
Several ways you can do this. There's also a performance tab. Show you how, as we just showed here. So whether you are a stock market trader or the entire crypto screener.
Okay, let's figure this out. Stock screener. How do I select all? Trend following. Filter. No. Filters. Search filter. Markets either entire world, edit the filters, reset all filters. Index.
A little refresh button. Next up is your, you can see all of these symbols by most heavily traded year-to-date performance. That means how are stocks performing since the start of be helpful. People do like to invest for the long term. For example, maybe you want to look at, or maybe you want to sort your screener by specific parameters. So let's look at valuation. And what we can do is click filters. And what filters is going to do is narrow down the screener. So we're looking at valuation, but we want to narrow it down. And we have three options here: descriptive, fundamental, and technical. In this example, we want to look for companies that are possibly trading with a low PE ratio and that have a lot of trading volume and are a small to medium cap size company. So let's do that. We click descriptive. Symbol type is fine, but we do not want ETFs or depository receipts or ADRs. We just want common stock. Exchange, we are okay with NYSE ARCA, NASDAQ, and NYSE. Next up, market capitalization. We're going to want to raise this slider because, like we said, we want companies that are small to mid cap. So let's do 2 billion market cap to how about 50 billion. So what we've just done there is we've narrowed the scope of our scan. Only companies that are between 2 billion and 50 billion will show up in the scan. See these blue dots? Only companies between them. 2 billions here, 50 billions here. Only companies between these will be in the scan. And as
well, I found a way to at least like add a bunch of stocks. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to single pane, and I'm going to just go through a bunch on the daily and weekly. Okay. One thing I noticed is on the weekly, we're struggling at an old swing high. We're coming up towards one. As well, Google a little bit more down in the dumps, but I think if another thing what's maybe worth paying attention to is like it does seem to be turning up, all of these. Apple's in a really interesting place actually in terms of trend lines. So I'm just going to focus on the weekly chart right now and just look at trend lines and what did the bottoms look like? Pin bars, engulfing candles. This one was an engulfing. Google think I just want to look at the weekly for now. Appears to be Amazon. Nvidia, interesting. And like a rocket. Meta as well. Tesla still doesn't really look great. Interesting. Wow, PepsiCo's at all-time highs. Because people love their Pepsi. That's wild. AZN, here's another one. NASDAQ 100, that's at all-time highs. I'm going to flag ones that are at all-time highs and kind of study them a little bit more. What gives them relative strength? Why am I doing this? It doesn't take that long to do the Bitcoin and ETH thing. Just looking at the weekly charts. Netflix recovered that gap. SNY near all-time highs, but this is like a very rangy stock, so it's interesting. How much is it up though on this week? No, 18%. AMD. This is lucky setup. Fib retracement to parallel channel. Buy right there. Was good for a bounce, I guess. I'm just gonna try to fly through them. Intel. And then I'm gonna try to look at the daily, do some daily. And then another Vertex. It's been very slow, but from when I was watching it, yeah, I mean, it's barely moved. Yikes, PayPal. What happened? Why? Airbnb. Mm, Monster beverage. Interesting, Monster and PepsiCo are both going. O'Reilly. There's an O'Reilly that opened nearby, and it's a good store. Like, I go in there. Why is it on such a tear? Marriott. Moderna? No. That one. Lululemon. Did really well in 2021, which is interesting. No, everything did well. Interesting. Well, things are generally have been moving up or have moved up. There's a lot that look like that. What? That's nuts. I want to turn up the volume. It's kind of nuts. I need to make sure I don't trade watch today, where it looks likely I put on longs in Bitcoin. Not necessarily though, because ETH's at a sort of a dangerous spot in a trend line. Warner Brothers. How many more do I have? So many, as many as I want. Walgreens. I don't really think it's the environment. F1 on A, F1 J. The fuck is this? NASDAQ Inc. 1 week. This isn't the NASDAQ chart. We didn't get that high in November 22. What the fuck is this? Tractor Supply. My intention is not to trade these, but just to like look at more charts. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the top and then go look at some daily charts. Just not clean the way they gap. Just look at what the tops and bottoms looked like. Pin bars, bullish engulfings. Here we have a green pin bar and a green pin bar right before moves up. Man, the Bitcoin and ETH chart is just so much cleaner and nice to look at. Like, how do you even trade the daily when there's so much gapping? I almost wouldn't even want to. Yeah, back to the weekly. it's not an environment where you buy when you pass an old high. It's definitely like maybe, I mean, for some of them it maybe works, but still like buying on a pullback. Yeah, I don't want to trade the weekly. It's a little bit. Okay, let's go to, we haven't 45 minutes, so I'm gonna go. We're going to look at Bitcoin and ETH, and we're gonna do it on the higher time frames. And try to go through my checklist and fill it out objectively. Um, the monthlies for sure look bearish to me. It doesn't mean we can't take longs here, but why do we have, they're both pin bars to the downside. So I have to mark that. Man, it's so easy to just squander money. Like all the money that I just lost trading was so unnecessary. If I had left my initial position with my initial stops, I would still be in these trades and they would be in profit. And I would have a chance to exit here. But it's the compulsion to overtrade. And I believe just getting away from that, if I can get away from that, like it's going to be so easy. It's not that hard to make money trading the daily if you can. I would say though the current week looks bullish to me, just because we have pin bars longs in the weekly. So previous week signal was a short, but the current week signal is long. That's what I care more about. Previous day signal. Well, we haven't had a previous day signal for a while, but we have a long. Now I need to go back and review to see that we took the low first. We did. We did take the low first. Okay. So the current day signal is long reversal. Okay, did candle reverse color? No. Big wick. How many levels did we sweep? Bitcoin swept 3, and ETH swept 2. Okay, let's look at the 12-hour signal. The 12-hour is better. The 12-hour is long. I'm a little concerned about the trend line on ETH. Resistance trend line. Okay, so here's where I have a little bit of concern on ETH. Of this really nice trend line that we have wicked under, but maybe that's just what it is. I need to save my capital for these what look like A+ setups and just trade those. Well, we swept that trend line. So we swept long, and we're above it. Oh, on a support trend line. Resistance trend line. Back out. It's far away. We don't really have anything too relevant here. These trend lines aren't really important at all. I'm just going to readjust them. Why? Because yeah, for a lot of reasons. They only have 2 touches. That's the key here. Okay, let's look at liquidity. I believe 1 month we purged, which would give an all clear for Bitcoin along, I believe. Yep, we purged it on the 1 month. Perfect. That's great for a long. Purged the lows. 1 month, yes. Okay. Let's look at 3 month. 3 month could go either way. Like obviously there's some below, but there's also some above. And oftentimes we just go one target at a time. 6 month, like we purged locally on the 6 month as well. So to me that's enough liquidity taken. Purged lows. Okay. Let's look at exchange flows. I can tell I feel excited. I'm excited to put it on. Yeah, this is part of the addiction, but I believe here it's an A plus. We have an A plus along on Bitcoin. ETH, I don't know how important that trend line was. It's could be a concern, but I mean it's not quite a pin bar on ETH, but it still looks pretty good. Okay, exchange net flow. ETH has been like this happened before bottoms, is having a big outflow. So if we look at year to date, shortly before the bottom in February, there was a heavy outflow. And then as we left the bottom in March, heavy outflow. There was a heavy outflow mid-March as we were chopping, but it was before a big move up, and then we just had a heavy outflow. That suggests a bullish dynamic. Bitcoin, has been more bearish to neutral. We had huge inflows on this day, right? But we just kept going higher. And then we've had inflows recently, but okay. Exchange flows would be bullish, bearish to neutral. I'm not going to pay attention to staking dynamic. Let's look at relative strength would be long Bitcoin. Weekly, yeah, bearish. Relative strength signals bearish, bullish. Also for the daily. Let's see if there's any relevant news. Catalyst, stock market news. Okay, there's earnings. Bitcoin news, anything. Nothing, like, I don't know why people are saying. Like, I actually don't want to see that, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. Nothing interesting. So let's try to look here. Current week signal. It's just Monday, so it's only been 2 days, but currently we have a long on the daily, especially on Bitcoin. We swept through levels. Okay. We purged the lows on the 1 month and on the 6 month. So we have some kind of liquidity all clear locally. and it's strong. So I'm looking at a Bitcoin along today. So it would just be the standard enter at the market with a stop at the low. I don't love that we swept this high first, but it doesn't really matter or make this setup worse. But I would consider this an A plus setup. And I'm happy to take an A plus setup. What would our target be though for this? We would want to try to hold up to here, in theory. Now it might not work. Certainly might not work. But as far as what fits my criteria, we have a pin bar. It doesn't really bother me that this candle has a tail to the upside too, because that tail was a sweep here. So yeah, we're gonna do it, and I'm also gonna start a new challenge on True Forex Funds. The reason is because of my current challenge. I'm probably gonna need to take the free redo. I don't want to risk too much because it ends in 10 days. I would rather take that free redo and do a new challenge. So let's pause. Okay, we're back. I'm putting on risk 26940. And then my TP for this one, I would only need a 4R to win. So I would just aim for around here on this one, 29,800. 29,800 for this one. Buy by market. Okay. Now I have a number of accounts. Switch to account. I have another. So this one I don't want to risk drawdown on because I want to take the free redo, which is why I made a new challenge. But I can risk up to drawdown. So I can risk 1,250 divided by a 0.02 divided by 27,533. I can do this. It can be along this much, and my stop can be at 26,940. And my take profit is going to be at 32,445. And I'm going to buy by market. Okay. So, and then I have this one, which I'm just gonna, I'm gonna blow up. It's okay. 185,000 divided by 27,549. BTC, USD, new order. This much, my stop loss will be at 26940, 26940, and my take profit is going to be at 32,445. We're going to buy my market. I hate that you start with 100 because of the, well, maybe they just show your commissions differently. Okay, so that's all done. Switch account. Okay, everything's immediately negative. It doesn't phase me or bother me. And then go to my Bybit. To me, this is an A plus setup. I'm willing to risk a little bit more. So I'm going to risk 2,000 on a 0.02 stop. Okay. I'm going to open long Bitcoin. And my stop loss is going to be, once again, at 269.40. This can for sure lose, but it's a great setup. 32,400 would be okay. Done. Now I need to not watch, not add on, not do anything. I at least feel good about this is an A plus setup to me. Would be a sweep inside sweep lows of range. Pin bar sweep below of range long. Okay. Technically I'm 15 minutes early, so I guess there's a world where I'm gonna get punished for that, and like the next 15 minutes we suffer a severe drop and go immediately to new lows, which I don't really see happening. But anything is possible. So I'm in it now, but let's do some counter arguments. We had something of a bullish engulfing on the previous weekly, which is generally not what you want to see. And then I adjusted this down, but we're kind of on this. ETH has maybe liquidations that could happen. But if we just look at the daily chart, naked, again, sweeping the highs doesn't really matter to me. I would have preferred that we didn't, but we swept the highs up here, and then we swept the lows. So we can go higher now. If I'm just trading my system, like we've got ETH isn't quite a pin bar, but we swept multiple levels on both. It's a big long. This is my setup that I wait for, and it looks good from a liquidation perspective. Again, it doesn't mean that it's going to work. It might not work, and I have until and I just want to not fuck it up, not stare at it. We didn't take this. If we just go off the current daily, though, we just go off the current 12-hour, the last 4 hours, it looks really good. So I don't expect it to go right up. Like, we could easily retrace to, like, how I previously might have done this is I would have tried to catch a wick down here, which might happen. But when I have a strong signal, I just want to participate in the trade. This low shouldn't be violated now. So there's been too many times of failing to get in the trade as well. So, okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, now I need to get out of watching the low time frame, set it and forget it. I'm gonna wait 13 minutes till the close. But there we are. You know, worst case, I take a loss, but I feel like I can and should feel good about seeing my edge and acting upon it. And this isn't the problem though. The problem is taking the mediocre trades. This is a good trade. It won't necessarily work, but it's a good trade. My problem is taking the mediocre trades. It doesn't mean that this is going to work. Yeah, and the money that I lost the past day is just so retarded. Like, I entered short here, and somehow I lost. I never even got stopped out of my Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. Peace.